Hello, everybody. David Reimer here. It's going to be about another 2 minutes, and then we'll be ready to go. So, just hold on about another minute or two, and then we'll have the weather briefing. Thanks for joining this evening. Hi, I'm David, and I just talked for a whole minute while being muted. High five. Anyway, let me go over real quick what I just said while I was muted like a dum-dum. We've seen thunderstorms increase over the last hour across the Trans-Pecos. Some of those storms have a history of producing very large hail and wind gusts of 60 to 70. We did have a couple tornadoes in southeast New Mexico between about 6 and 8 o'clock, but we haven't had any confirmed tornado reports over the last 30 to 45 minutes. There were 2 tornadoes we know about. One was southeast of Carlsbad, the second southeast of Roswell. We haven't heard of any significant reports of damage at this point, but the one southeast of Roswell was a pretty good-sized tornado. You saw, if you had joined us a minute ago while I was muted like a dum-dum, you saw the regional radar. Thunderstorms and showers located over the western Texas panhandle don't look impressive on radar. Here, I'll just turn it back on real quick, since you couldn't hear me earlier. You can see the thunderstorms across the western panhandle don't look impressive. However, about 300 to 500 feet above the surface in Amarillo right now, we have 65-mile-an-hour winds, meaning those weak showers and thunderstorms may be enough to actually bring some of that wind to the surface. As in, you get a little rain shower, it drags the 60-mile-an-hour winds to the surface, so it's entirely possible we see those high winds even with the showers farther north. Thunderstorm coverage is more impressive in terms of reflectivity values across western Texas into the Trans-Pecos this evening, thanks to increased instability values compared to areas farther north. Wind shear values are just as strong, and wind shear is definitely going to be very strong to extreme overnight as this squall line moves east. Now, real quick, let's take a look at the thunderstorms we have ongoing in the Trans-Pecos real quick, and then we will concentrate on the forecast overnight, which undoubtedly is what many of you are here for. So let's dive on in. We'll get this turned on. You can see we have a pretty good supercell right now west of Fort Stockton, about to cross Interstate 10. That's moving east-northeast, should pass just north of Fort Stockton, but this storm is got radar indications of tennis ball size hail, and we had baseballs earlier north of Pecos, so it would not be at all surprising to see some very large hail out of some of these storms over the next hour or two as they move east. But as the storms congeal up into a squall line, we anticipate they will begin to produce less in the way of hail and a lot more in the way of damaging wind gusts. And we've already had 60 to 70 mile an hour wind gusts with these storms as they passed over Pecos. So let's jump on over to the severe weather outlook overnight. We continue with a level 3 risk. That is an enhancement for much of the Permian Basin, the Concho Valley, West Texas, and the Big Country. Those of you in that zone have a 30 to 45% chance of seeing damaging winds over 60 miles per hour within 25 miles of your home. And we also have the potential for brief tornadoes tonight, given the fact we have a lot of wind shear. A level 2 risk, that's the standard risk level for severe weather, means you have about a 15% chance of seeing severe weather within 25 miles of your home. And severe weather being the damaging winds or brief tornadoes, and that includes the southern half of the Texas Panhandle, northwest Texas, the western portions of North Texas, the Hill Country, and northern sections of the Edwards Plateau. And finally, we have the level 1 risk. That's a marginal risk, meaning you have about a 5% chance of seeing severe weather within 25 miles of your home, and that includes the remainder of the Texas Panhandle up into southwestern Oklahoma. The eastern delineations of that across North Texas, Central Texas, and to South Central Texas, that is because we have this severe weather outlook goes to 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. Now, after this period, the level 1 risk actually continues and includes all of Northeast Texas, East Texas, and Southeast Texas. So, just because you don't see those spots on this map, it doesn't mean it's not there. It's just this outlook is through 7 a.m. The squall line, as it continues to move east overnight, will likely be capable of producing widespread damaging winds of 60 to 80 miles per hour. That's a significant concern for places like the Concho Valley, the Big Country, and there are indications the squall line will maintain its strength as it moves into western North Texas after 2 to 3 a.m. For those of you in North Texas, DFW specifically, this is going to be an instance where the squall line is likely weakening as it moves into the Metroplex. However, with winds at about 1 to 2,000 feet above the surface in the 70 to 80 mile per hour range, and then winds at 5,000 feet at near 100 miles per hour, it won't take a overly strong thunderstorm to mix some of those higher winds down. So we are anticipating 50 to 60, maybe even 70 mile an hour winds in portions of the DFW Metroplex overnight. And let me rephrase that, not overnight, between about 4 and 7 a.m. Let's go with that. So for the morning commute, I know it's going to be wonderful. I'm sorry. As you can see from this simulated radar model, the squall line is going to be continuing in earnest, moving east across the big country. It may develop a bit of a bow echo shape, which would enhance the damaging wind potential along with the threat for brief tornadoes. You can see the line of storms weakens as it moves into northeast Texas and east Texas after sunrise and through the mid-morning hours, but we could still see 40 to 50 mile an hour winds as that line of showers and storms continues to move east, just because of how much dynamic support we have aloft with this storm system. We have, and all this is being caused by what's going to likely be the equivalent of a hurricane in Kansas in terms of the barometric pressure, and that's going to be almost record low values for what's ever been measured in Kansas. And for those of you heading to Denver tomorrow, no, you're not. If it's after about 10 a.m. Central Time, you're not getting into Denver tomorrow. They're going to have a blizzard with 6 to 12 inches of snow and 70 mile an hour winds. That airport's not going to be open probably. So, with all that said, we'll just be keeping an eye on things overnight. You can see we have our little supercell west of Fort Stockton. That's moving east-northeast at about 40 to 50. It's capable of producing tennis ball size hail right now. You can see we've got a storm northeast of Kermit. See that little appendage out front? That's what we're going to be watching for all night. These little appendages and enhancements along the leading edge of the squall line as they move east. See, you could see another one southwest of Seminole. And just for fun, I bet if I were to look at rotation, plain as day. See that right there? Here, let me illustrate it real quick. Man, I love it when examples pop up in the middle of my live videos. You can see that enhancement right there. That's under a tornado warning right now. It's going to be moving towards Goldsmith. Should pass south of Andrews, hopefully. But that's probably one of those brief tornadoes we were talking about in areas of larger damaging wind gusts. So that's a pretty clear tell sign of low-level organization and a potential brief tornado, and that's what we're going to have to be worrying about all night as this squall line moves east. See a weaker one southwest of Seminole, and these are severe thunderstorm warnings as the storms progress into West Texas and start tapping into some of the more unstable air compared to what was experienced in eastern New Mexico. So we'll just have to keep an eye on things. We're going to be here all night. We'll be doing rapid-fire updates on Twitter, along with updates on our Facebook page, and of course we'll be posting probably about hourly weather updates, more regionalized, over on our website, TexasStormChasers.com. We've got a free mobile app. You can keep up with that as well. We've got a great HD interactive weather radar on our website and in that mobile app. And heck, if you use the radar in the mobile app, you don't have to deal with ads. So with that said, I'm David Reimer. It is just after 9:20, and we'll be keeping an eye on things, so stay weather aware tonight, folks.